Welcome to another episode of heCast, the official podcast of He Changed It. I am Mike Chisholm. I am, as always, excited to be here and talk to some interesting people about where we're at in the world and what's going on and how that can translate over to men's mental health. And another very cool guest is joining us today on the podcast. Kyle Lasota is a videographer that his life kind of took an interesting turn out of videography, but still in videography. Those are the skills that he uses that are necessary for him to communicate what maybe his true calling is. He's a biohacker. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. We just really appreciate you giving up of your time.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to chat with you.
You basically were a video marketer and have kind of morphed that into a presentation vehicle for being a biohacker. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's clear by your videos that photography and videography is a passion and a strength. They look beautiful. I guess my question is did you just get tired of shooting weddings or commercials or video business cards for people and you just decided to go in a different direction? What put you into the direction of being a biohacker?
Yeah, so I was doing storytelling for entrepreneurs and online business owners, and I'd help them grow their brands and their business through telling their story and creating ads. And I was working with really incredible entrepreneurs, but the thing about it was there was a misalignment. There was a misalignment in the business model, and there was a misalignment in I wasn't buying these programs. They were great programs and they're helping people, but like I just was being pulled towards the health space. I wanted to market and sell things that I personally took and consumed. Right. And so I started shifting my business towards the health space, but that's still just client work. And that's running an agency. And I'd always have to, be present and do the work myself. And there was no leverage there. And I didn't want to scale an agency. So I had to massage the business model in a way to fit my lifestyle and to help support my health goals and my business goals and all that stuff. So I started building an audience so that I could do what I was doing for my clients, for myself. And then I could market the products that I believe are the best products in the world and get them into the hands of people that are hungry to learn more and to get better and to improve. But then also I can launch my own products and I can control the traffic and I can build a list and I can do all the things that you should do as a business owner and as a marketer and as someone who's providing value in the world to secure yourself in that way.
A lot to unpack there. I want to start by going back to something where you started. The misalignment of things blowing up your business, your health, all that stuff led you to your first mentor who kind of opened your eyes to the idea that we can change the, whatever you want to call it, the wiring, the chemistry, the harmony of our body and improve things. What was the first biohack? Can you remember back to the first thing that he taught you that kind of opened your eyes to this idea, which then kind of was that first stepping stone on this pathway that you have now gone down?
Yeah. Honestly, it was getting in the cold water. So we were in Chicago in November and he took us to the beach and we all got in Lake Michigan in November.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
For like 6 minutes and it was brutal, but I got out and I was really struggling with my energy at the time. And when I got out, I was like, I'm alive. Like I feel great, so that's when it kind of clicked for me. It was like, wow, there's really much more available to me that are tools and resources at my disposal. And like, I just got to learn how these work.
That's a pathway that we can go down. If you want to study, if any of our viewers or listeners want to study the idea of what the cold does, it can be life-changing. And if you go into stuff that Wim Hof or other experts talk about, they talk about how you can actually change your body chemistry just by using cold water. It doesn't have to be cryotherapy. It can be as easy as a cold shower, right?
Yeah, totally. And just your breath, your mind, and the cold.
I want to move forward a little bit more. You talk about this idea of mold. So is this the kind of mold like you leave the peanut butter sandwich out and a couple of days later you got this stuff growing over it? You're talking about that growing inside your body?
And some people are more susceptible than others. And depending on what's going on in your life, like at that point in my life, I was under a lot of stress and duress. My immune system was compromised because I got the stomach bug. I got E. coli when I was in Budapest. So my immune system was shot because I took antibiotics, and I was drinking this alkaline water that really messed up my gut, and it was changing the way that my food was digesting, and it was all bad. And I was pushing my body really hard in the gym, and I was also under a lot of work stress, and I wasn't taking care of my sleep hygiene at all. I was basically taking stimulants to get through the day, and I was taking depressants to fall asleep. So it was just a recipe for a disaster. And basically, when you breathe in these particles of mold, they burrow into your cells, and they colonize in wet and dark and damp places, and it can destroy your life. It will take over your mind. It will make you go crazy. You'll have all types of weird symptoms, and it's really a pain, and very, very hard to get rid of. And it's very, let's just say, unpleasant, because in order to get rid of the mold, you have to kill it. And that thing that you have to kill is inside you. And when it dies, it releases toxins, and you have to get rid of those toxins.
So that sounds really good. How did you do that?
A lot of homeopathy in the beginning was the beginning part of the protocol. And then after that, I did a kill protocol, which was antifungals and some herbs like berbine and candida stat. That was brutal. I did that for about 2 months, and I literally thought I was going insane. Like put me in an insane asylum.
So it really affected your mental stability or mental health.
Totally. And when I was going through the protocol, I made the connection. I'm like, oh yeah, this is how I felt when I had my first panic attack. And I didn't know why I was experiencing, because I had never had any mental health issues before that. And all of a sudden I was having a panic attack, and I'm like, this is the feeling that I was having. It's just chemical imbalance. It's toxic overload. It's all these different things, right? And so obviously that's a lot of stuff, you know.
Sure.
And the thing about why my business is so awesome now, to bring it full circle, is because, you know, this stuff gets really expensive. And so part of me changing my business, it was about, how can I get paid to take care of myself, you know, and how can I get paid how can I literally get paid to just get healthier? And that's kind of how I went about designing my business. And I always believe that if we just ask better questions, we can get better answers.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, when you're on that side of the fence and it seems almost, you haven't said it's hopeless, but I can't imagine it was comfortable, versus how you're feeling now. It does get better, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And if I think back to those times when things were really hard, I think the question you got to ask yourself and like ponder on and marinate on is just like, has someone else been through this, and have they figured it out? And if so, where are they, and how do I get access to them, or how do I learn what they did, and how do I apply it in my life? Because I always knew that there was an answer. You know, even in the years where I didn't have clarity around what was actually going on, I just knew what I was experiencing wasn't normal. So to speak to that person in that place, it's just like, look, like, this is a gift that you've been given, and your body is communicating with you. So quiet the noise and like listen and look. And if you don't have answers, that is totally okay, but know that you can find the answer. All you have to do is ask the right questions. And don't try to do it on your own.
You've essentially, I got to stop you right there, only because you've just essentially, if you were to talk to my wife and the other founders of He Changed It, you have essentially summed up why He Changed It exists right now, because we're in a place where there's all sorts of questions when it comes to men, how they behave, what their some of their values that they learned, are what they should be, what needs to happen, evolutions, health changes, all of these things. And I think you've just summed up exactly why He Changed It exists. And that's because at the end of the day, we need to ask the right questions. And the question that you just said is, has somebody been through this before? And if so, how did they get out of it? You ask better questions, you get better answers. Well, we want to be a haven for people who have been through stuff. What's your favorite thing that you've learned through this process?
So I've done psychedelics before,
Yep.
and in one of those experiences, I came to the conclusion that nothing really matters that much, and it was a very nihilistic sort of conclusion, which inherently you would believe might be kind of like sad or pessimistic,
A downer.
yeah, a downer. But right behind that realization, I came to the conclusion that, oh, because nothing matters, anything could matter.
Right.
And what am I going to make matter?
So there's a tremendous amount of freedom in that.
There is. And the concept of, and what followed that immediately after was that, well, what do I know to be true? And in that moment, what I knew to be true was that the things that do matter are, number one, people and relationships, people in my life.
Right.
And that's what people enrich life, and they also create life. Like, life can only exist by nature of our experience with others. Otherwise, we're just in a silo, and that's not life. That's just a consciousness, you know?
Almost a jail.
It is. So life can only be life with others. And so that inherently is very, very important. And then the second thing, then that matters. And then the second thing that matters is that I know in my deepest heart that feeling good inside my body makes my life better. And my life experience is all dictated by how I feel inside my body. So if all I did for the rest of my life was build community and relationships, and foster family and focus on feeling good inside my body, and I put those two things together, then that is the infinite game that I could play forever.
The level of gratefulness you must have to be able to say right now that you feel good in the body that you have, because you became aware that you didn't feel good in your body, and you knew something was wrong with your body, and suddenly you became aware that now you do. And I can hear the gratefulness coming out of you right now. And that's something that I think all of our listeners might want to take note of.
I totally am, man. And like the thing and look, I still have days that I don't feel great, and I'm still working on my health a lot. And what I would say is, like, man, like, if you just put it in perspective, like, part of the Stoic philosophy that you mentioned in that video is, like, one of the things that Marcus Aurelius did was he would zoom out on his problems. And like, when you zoom out on your problems and you compare them to other people, like, I have very first world problems.
Yep.
And I think a good life is not a life without problems or devoid of problems. A good life is a life with good problems. And I also believe that, you know, it's a beautiful thing to lose everything, because once you've lost everything, you're free to do anything. And there is a morality that I experienced in my own sickness that I realized, like, how lucky I am to do anything that I can do now.
There's always a reciprocal. As hard as that situation may be, there is an equal amount of joy on the other side when the pendulum does swing back. Inside these meat vessels that we're walking around in, we actually have the tools necessary to impact all of those things, to our mental state, our soul state, our physical state. We can actually do that with tools that we have on board here. And I find that freeing too. You know, a little bit of information can go a long way, and you're not promoting pills and, you know, I'm not trying to start a war with the pharmaceutical industry, but at the end of the day, true truths, real truths, doesn't need a magic pill, does it?
It doesn't, man. The body is so powerful, and it can heal itself if we just give it what it needs and we remove what is impeding it from healing, right?
Kyle, I just want to say thank you very much again for taking time out of your very busy schedule. It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. I'm happy to share.
That's it. They go by pretty quick, don't they? Another episode of heCast is in the can. I just want to say I appreciate every single person that listens or watches this broadcast. Hechangedit.com if you want information about the apps, but we're in the app stores now. It's been an amazing journey building this thing, watching my wife and her team build this thing. It's been an amazing journey being the host of heCast. And hey, man, we're just getting started. So thank you very much. Let's all man up together. Have a great day.